The eviction notice was taped to my door like a punchline. 21 days to come up with money I did not have. Tell me honestly, if someone offered you $35,000 to fake being their girlfriend for one weekend, would you take it? My name is Ariel Sutton, and by the time all of this happened, I had already swallowed more pride than most people taste in a lifetime. I was 29, living in a studio that could barely fit my mattress, and my anxiety working 3 jobs that still could not keep me above water. Morning shift at the coffee shop where people treated their latte order like a human right. Afternoons at a tiny event firm buried in spreadsheets, timelines, clients who wanted Pinterest dreams on clearance budgets. Nights freelancing wedding and party layouts on my busted laptop, chasing invoices that came in late, if at all. The carpet in my apartment was worn down, my fridge was an echo chamber, and my floor was a collage of overdue bills that felt like they were quietly judging me. Electric phone student loans and those medical bills from my mom's treatment that kept coming long after she was gone. That's the part nobody tells you. Grief leaves mail. That morning I held the eviction notice in my hand so long the paper warmed up. 21 days to pay or get out. I laughed a little, the bitter kind, because of course this was happening now, when I was hanging everything on one client meeting. A fancy garden wedding consult, with a couple who could actually afford my ideas, someone who might recommend me, maybe give me a way out. I had my boards ready, color palettes, floral concepts, ceremony flow, all of it. I told myself, you nail this, Ariel, maybe next month you choose food and Wi-Fi, not one or the other. I got in my 2008 Honda Civic, said a silent prayer, and headed out. Halfway down the highway, the car made this grinding sound, like it was chewing metal, jerked twice, and died. No slow warning, no gentle fade, just dead. I coasted onto the shoulder while semis screamed past, rain starting to tap the windshield, that gray kind of sky that already feels like bad news. I tried the ignition again. Nothing. Again. Nothing. Of course, I picked up my phone. 5% battery. 1 bar of service. And that sick feeling in my stomach when I realized I had to choose between calling a tow truck or calling the client whose wedding could save my life. Then my email pinged. Subject line, exclusive opportunity, $35,000 for 3 days. I actually said, yeah, right, out loud. Definitely a scam. But my thumb opened it anyway, because desperation sits in the driver's seat when your gas tank wallet and options are empty. Miss Sutton, my name is Gideon Blackwell. I am the CEO of Blackwell Industries, and I have a business proposition for you. I remember every word because it did not sound like spam. It sounded like a lawyer wrote it. He said he needed someone to accompany him to his sister's wedding in Napa Valley, Friday through Sunday, pretend to be his girlfriend, maintain professionalism, portray affection, when appropriate. $35,000 paid in full after successful completion, and he literally wrote, "This is a legitimate offer." I read it twice, 3 times. My heart was pounding. $35,000 would clear my rent for a year, catch me up on my bills, fix my car, give me breathing room to build my business for real. It was insane. It was suspicious. It was everything. My phone died. Screen black. No goodbye. I sat there on the shoulder in the rain, and I started laughing. That cracked, exhausted laugh where your only options are cry, scream, or find it darkly funny that your miracle is locked behind a dead battery. Then there was a knock on my window, a state trooper in a rain-slicker face kind motioning for me to roll the glass down. "You all right, ma'am?" "My car died," I said, "and my phone. I was about to call a tow and it just—" He nodded. "I can call that in for you. Anywhere you need to go." I hesitated, then heard myself say, "Actually, can I use your phone to make one quick call? It's important." He handed it over without a second thought. I punched in the number from the email, half sure nobody would pick up, half sure it would be some weird voicemail. 1 ring, 2, then a voice. "Blackwell, It was low-controlled, like a man who rarely had to repeat himself. "Hi, this is Ariel Sutton," I said. "I got your email." He did not sound surprised. "Miss Sutton, thank you for calling. Are you available to come to my office tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. so we can discuss the arrangement in person?" Just like that. Like we were confirming a dentist appointment. Yes, I said. "I'll have my assistant send you the address." "One more thing," he added. "This requires complete discretion. You would be portraying my romantic partner in front of my family. Public affection within reason. Nothing beyond what would be expected from a couple. Do you feel you can manage that professionally?" Rain hitting the roof, eviction notice in my bag, my entire life hanging by a thread. "I can handle that," I said. "If it were you stranded in a broken car with your life in collections, and someone like that offered you a way out in 3 days, what would you have done?" The next morning I stood in the lobby of Blackwell Industries and wondered when exactly I'd stepped into another universe. Everything was marble glass, chrome, fresh-cut flowers that probably cost what I made in a shift. I was in a borrowed navy dress, the best heels I owned, clutching my portfolio like a shield, even though this wasn't technically a job interview. 40th floor. The receptionist smiled after checking my name, like I belonged there. The elevator ride felt like ascending out of my tax bracket. At the top, the assistant, immaculate suit, neutral tone, led me down a hallway of glass offices until he opened a door. The space inside was bigger than my entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows looking over the city. Shelves, art, a massive desk, everything violently tidy. And behind that desk, looking at a screen, was Gideon Blackwell. He looked exactly like Google said he did, but more real, obviously late 30s. Dark hair, gray eyes that were way too observant, jaw like it had never lost an argument. The kind of posture that said he didn't ask for permission often. When he stood and walked around the desk, there was no smile, just focus. "Miss Sutton," he said, offering his hand. His handshake was steady, dry, calm. Mine was trying. "Thank you for coming," he said. "Please sit." He did not waste time with small talk. He laid it out, his sister Rachel's wedding in Napa family. Pressure, his aunt, this idea that he was emotionally unavailable too, focused on work, people hovering, questioning him. He wanted them off his back so his sister could be happy. He needed someone believable by his side so they would stop worrying. "You could hire an actress," I said. "I met with several," he said. "All of them felt performative. My family is perceptive. They would see through it. I need someone who can be genuine." He slid a folder to me. Non-disclosure agreement. Formal contract. 3 days. Friday to Sunday. Travel and accommodations covered. Publicly act as his girlfriend. No physical requirements beyond what we mutually agreed was appropriate in public. Private sleeping arrangements. Total discretion during and after. Compensation, $35,000 upon completion. It was clinical, terrifyingly real, and so far from my everyday life that part of me felt like I was being pranked. Another part was doing the math on late fees. I asked him flat out, "Why me?" He didn't flinch. "I had someone observe you at your morning job," he said. "They noted your interactions with customers, your memory, your patience. You engaged like you actually cared. You did not pander. You did not snap even when you had reason to. You feel real. I am prepared to pay a premium for that." I should have been creeped out. And I was a little that someone had been taking notes on me while I was juggling pastries and burnt espresso. But I also heard something else in it, intent, structure, safety. He wasn't some random man in my DMs. He was methodical. If he wanted to do something worse, he wouldn't be doing this on legal paper. "What happens if I say no?" I asked. He met my eyes like he was used to people trying to read him and failing. "Nothing. You walk away, and I find someone else. I am not without options, Miss Sutton. I gave you this offer because I thought it might benefit both of us." That stung in a way. the reminder that I was replaceable. But he wasn't wrong. I looked at that number again, looked at my life in my head. Then I picked up the pen. "I'll do it," I said. He nodded once. "My assistant will finalize everything. One more thing," he added, pulling out a checkbook like it was 1995. He wrote quickly, tore out a check, slid it toward me. $5,000 in advance. For clothing preparation incidentals. I stared. $5,000. "This is a lot," I said. "This is a professional arrangement," he said. "I am not doing you a favor. You are providing a service I require. Use it to ensure you feel confident." Pattern interrupt, I took it. We met the next day at a cafe to build our backstory. He was dressed down, no tie, sleeves rolled, and looked almost normal. He'd already ordered my coffee. "Huh. How did you know what I drink?" I asked. "I do my research," he said like it was obvious. We sat in a corner and crafted a fake relationship. We met 6 months ago at a charity gala I coordinated. He was impressed by my ability to keep everything running when the sound system died. He asked me to dinner. We'd been quietly serious ever since. We scribbled details, favorite movies, favorite restaurants, how he'd won me over, how I had softened him. It was unsettling how easy it was to stitch together something plausible. Then the conversation drifted. Real slipped in. He told me about the accident that killed his parents, about being 21 months from graduating and choosing to give up job offers, move back, raise his kid sister. About learning to code at 3 a.m. while she slept in the next room, doing whatever he had to do. I told him about my mom, about chemo days, about how I learned to talk to nurses, how I burned out my savings and my sanity and still lost her, how that debt sat in my mailbox like a ghost. For a moment, the billionaire and the broke barista weren't that far apart. "I'm sorry," he said softly. "Me too," I said, "for both of us." Then he snapped the professional mask back on. "We should shop," he said. "You'll need outfits appropriate for the weekend." I hated that I needed it. Hated that I didn't own a single dress that wouldn't look out of place around his family. But he was right. So I let him swipe his card on a deep red dress for the rehearsal dinner, a midnight blue gown for the wedding, a yellow sundress for brunch shoes, and a clutch to match. Each beep of the register made my chest tight. "This is too much," I whispered. "It's not," he said. "If you're thinking about whether your dress fits in, you won't be able to focus on the role. This is efficiency, spoken like a CEO. Still, I went home that night, tried on the gowns in front of my mirror, and for the first time in months, I let myself imagine a version of me who was not constantly in survival mode. Friday morning, he picked me up at 7. No chauffeur, just him driving a sleek black sedan like he wanted to prove something. "Last chance to back out," he said lightly as he loaded my bag. "I'm in," I said, more sure than I felt. As we drove north, the city faded into rolling hills and vineyards. We went over our story again, filling in tiny pieces. First inside joke song he pretended to hate, but secretly liked because of me, the little details families latch onto. Then he said something that stuck. "Once we arrive," he said, "we are a couple in public. No breaking character unless we are completely alone. However, if you ever feel uncomfortable, you tell me. Contract or no contract, you come first. Is that clear?" I had not expected that from him. It made me feel safer. "Clear," I said. The estate was ridiculous. Stone walls, wood beams, big windows, fields of vines. The kind of place you only ever see in movies or magazines in your dentist's office. Before we even got to the door, it flew open, and this blur of energy came out. "Gideon!" she shouted. Rachel. His sister. She ran straight into his arms, hugged him like she was 8, and he'd come home from college. Then she turned to me. "And you must be Ariel," she said, eyes shining. "Finally. My brother has been so annoyingly private about you, I was starting to think you were made up." "Very real," I said, trying to sound casual while her words rang in my head. He talked about me. She hugged me. Not a polite hug, a real one. Warm. Believing. In a few minutes, I met Thomas, her fiancé. All easy charm and steady kindness. And Aunt Patricia, elegant, sharp, the type of woman who can fold you with one raised eyebrow. They were curious, but kind. They welcomed me like it was nothing. It should have felt like heaven. It felt like pressure. Gideon's hand hovered at my back, fingers brushing my arm, these small touches that were supposed to sell the act. The weird thing is, they worked on me, too. Rachel walked us to the guest house. It was gorgeous. Soft, light lavender outside, big bed in the center like a magazine spread. "This is you two," she said. "I know you don't live together yet, but come on." I opened my mouth, closed it. She winked and left. "I'll take the couch," Gideon said immediately. The couch was short and stiff. "That's not exactly fair," I said. "I've slept in worse," he said. "You get the bed. You need the rest more than I do," and he meant it. That line between him as a client and him as a person blurred just a hair. That afternoon, Rachel popped back in. "Wine tasting for the bridal party, you two have to come," she said. No room to decline. The vineyard's tasting room was all stone and wood and soft light. The sommelier, Kathleen, lined up glasses like a ceremony. As we swirled and sipped, I watched Rachel and Thomas teasing each other, Patricia watching everything like a hawk, but with love underneath. And I started liking them. That was not part of the plan. Kathleen talked about balance, acidity, body, how every choice has consequences. I found myself saying, it's kind of like event planning. If one thing is too loud, it destroys everything. When it's right, nobody sees the work, they just feel like it's perfect. Kathleen lit up. Patricia nodded. Rachel beamed at me. "This is why I like her," she said. "She sees things." "You should start your own firm," Sophie, the maid of honor, chimed in. "Seriously." Gideon squeezed my hand under the table like, "See?" Then quiet, he leaned close. "You belong here more than you think," he murmured. Pattern interrupt, I let myself believe him for like 3 seconds. That night at the rehearsal dinner in the red dress he bought me, I walked out of the bedroom and for the first time saw him lose his composure just a tiny bit. "You look—" he started, then stopped, exhaled. "Stunning." "You clean up all right too," I said, trying to make it a joke. We were seated near the front. All evening Rachel pulled me into conversations. Thomas's parents asked about my work. Patricia probed gently, like she was checking structural integrity. I had to lie about how long we'd been together, how we met, but I did not have to lie about the way Gideon loved his sister. That was obvious. At one point, Rachel looked right at me and said, "What I don't get is how you got him to stop living at his office. How did you break through that head of his?" Everyone laughed. I felt my pulse spike. I could have tossed out our rehearsed answer. Instead, I heard myself say, "I didn't break anything. I just saw him. Past the CEO, past the schedule. He's someone who took on too much too young and forgot he's allowed to be a person, not a machine. So I just showed up and didn't go away." The table went quiet. Rachel's eyes glistened. Patricia studied me. Gideon stared like he wasn't sure if I had just read his soul or exposed him. "That's him," Rachel whispered. "Exactly him." Under the table, his hand found mine and held on. That was the first night I realized the script and my heart were no longer synced. The wedding morning was chaos in the beautiful way. Sunlight, hairspray, steamers, flowers everywhere. Rachel pulled me into her room, insisted I be in some photos. "Your family," she kept saying, laughing, glowing. Then, while someone fixed her veil, she grabbed my hand. "Take care of him, okay?" she said. "He gives everything. He never asks for anything back. It scares me sometimes." That hit like a brick. Ceremony on the terrace, vines in the distance, everyone dressed like a magazine spread. When Rachel came down the aisle on Patricia's arm, I felt Gideon's hand shake in mine. "She's beautiful," I whispered. "She's my kid," he said, voice cracking. I blinked and "She's grown." When they were pronounced husband and wife, he wiped his eyes like he wasn't allowed to cry, and I squeezed his hand harder. Reception, under a tent, with fairy lights, music, wine. We danced. One hand at my waist, the other in mine. I was supposed to remember we were acting. I forgot for a minute. Ariel. He started, voice low. There's something I should. Well, well, a woman's voice cut in sharp and smooth. So it's true. Gideon Blackwell finally brought someone. It was like the temperature dropped. She was stunning, mid-30s emerald dress, confident like expensive perfume. Vanessa. I didn't know her, but I knew her type. Vanessa. Gideon said, his whole body going rigid. I didn't realize Thomas invited you. Of course he did. We're family, she said, eyes sliding to me. And you must be Ariel. Nice to meet you, I said, offering my hand. She shook it like it bored her. So tell me, how long have you been with Gideon? About 6 months, I said, our rehearsed line. She smiled, small and cruel. 6 months. Huh. Interesting. Funny thing, I always told him if he ever showed up with a girlfriend, I'd know she was either an actress or a saint. Vanessa, Gideon warned. She raised her chin, made sure people near us could hear. I did a little digging, she said. Event coordinator, 3 jobs, drowning in bills. Then suddenly she's on a fantasy weekend with a billionaire. Tell me, Ariel, how much is he paying you to be here? And just like that, the music might as well have cut off. People around us went quiet. Conversations stalled. Rachel turned confusion on her face. Patricia stiffened. That's not funny, I said. Who said I was joking? Vanessa replied. Look at them, she told the others. Do you actually think this is real? Gideon doesn't do relationships. He outsources feelings. I could feel my throat closing. I opened my mouth to deny it and nothing came out. Then Gideon stepped forward. Enough, he said. Vanessa, stop. She folded her arms. So tell them then. Look your sister in the eye and say you didn't hire her. Go ahead. The twist. Gideon looked at me, then at Rachel, then out at the sea of faces. She's right, he said. The air snapped. I asked Ariel to come here as part of an arrangement. He went on, voice steady, forcing the words out. I hired her to be my date. Rachel's face crumpled. Patricia's lips parted. People gasped. Vanessa smirked like she'd scored. But, he added, turning, and for the first time since I'd met him, his voice shook. That is not the whole story. Of course it wasn't. Not anymore. When this started, he said, I was afraid my sister would spend her wedding and her marriage worrying about me. I wanted her to be free. I tried to buy an illusion, and that was wrong. But the person you have seen this weekend, the way Ariel has cared, the way she has shown up for all of you, that is not an act. Somewhere between the contract and right now, I fell in love with her. Dead silence. Rachel whispered, no. I stepped forward, heart hammering. Rachel, I'm so sorry, I said. I took this because I was desperate. I had an eviction notice. My car broke down. I wasn't trying to hurt you. I wasn't trying to make fun of your family. I thought I'd come play a role, go home, pay my bills. And then I met you. I met him. And everything got complicated. Complicated. Rachel snapped, tears starting. You let me believe my brother finally found someone who loved him. You let me say those things to you. You let me trust you. I meant every word I said about him, I said. And about you. How am I supposed to know what was real? She demanded. Tell me that. Do you think that's fair? If someone starts with a lie, but their heart changes, do they get a second chance? Vanessa laughed quietly. I told you, she said to no one and everyone. It's pathetic. And something inside me lit up. You did this on purpose, I said to her. You waited until the dance floor, until everyone was watching because you wanted a scene. You didn't say it to warn anyone. You said it to hurt him. She lifted a shoulder. He made his choices. And you made yours. Patricia cut in, voice cold now. I think you've done enough. Thomas backed her. Vanessa, you need to leave. She sputtered. But when she saw Rachel wasn't defending her, she grabbed her clutch and stormed out. Did that fix anything? No. But one less vulture in the tent. Rachel turned back to us. You lied to me, she said. Both of you. This is my fault, Gideon said. I asked her. I paid her. Be angry at me. Oh, I am, Rachel said. You couldn't just tell me you're lonely. You had to put on a show at my wedding. He swallowed. I was scared, he said. I didn't want you feeling like you had to check on me from your honeymoon. I wanted you to have one thing in your life that wasn't your responsibility. I've been your guardian for so long I didn't know how to stop. The whole tent listened. Every word was raw. Did you mean it? She asked. What you said about loving her? Yes, he said without a blink. She looked at me. And you? This was the crossroads. I could have said it was just business taken, my money disappeared. No one would ever fully believe me either way. I came here for the money, I said. I'm not going to pretend I didn't. But watching him with you, hearing what he gave up, seeing the way he carries this whole family's weight on his shoulders, and still tries to do the right thing even when he does it the wrong way, I fell for him. And it terrifies me because it started with a lie. Rachel stared at us both, mascara streaked. You're idiots, she said finally. Both of you. Accurate, Gideon said. And this is still my wedding. She went on, wiping at her cheeks. We are not going to let Vanessa or your stupidity be the headline. We will deal with this later. Right now I'm going to dance with my husband. You two, figure yourselves out. Thomas led her back onto the dance floor. The band Brave Souls started playing again. Guests hesitated, then followed. The night shifted, cracked, but not broken. Gideon turned to me later outside under the stars near the vines. You don't have to stay, he said. After tonight, after this, if you want the rest of the money and to never see me again, I'll honor that. You did more than I had any right to ask. I know, I said. And I did. But I'm not running, not yet. Mid-video break, if you're listening to this, stick around. Because what happened next will blow your mind. He asked me quietly, stay for brunch tomorrow. Not because of the contract. Because I want you there. Okay, I said. One more day. At the farewell brunch, Rachel hugged me tight. I'm still mad, she whispered. But I watched you last night. You stood up for him, you didn't hide. I'm not done deciding how I feel about you. But I see you trying. Don't make me regret it. Patricia joined us, less icy. Intentions matter, she said. Consequences too. Be honest going forward. Gideon didn't push. He just stayed near, gave me space, watched his sister, looked more human than I had ever seen him. On the drive back to the city, the silence between us was different. Not awkward, just full. Outside my building, he parked and pulled out an envelope. This is what I owe you, he said. The full amount. I held it. It felt heavier than paper should. What now? I asked. Now, he said. And for once, there was no CEO in his voice, just a man who was tired. I would like to take you to dinner on Tuesday. No one else. No contract. No role. If you say no, I leave you alone. If you say yes, I will spend however long it takes proving that what I said last night wasn't panic. Pick me up here, I said. We go somewhere in my neighborhood. And you take the stairs, there's no elevator. He huffed a small laugh. Deal. Upstairs, I opened the envelope. $35,000. A note inside in his handwriting. This was our agreement. What I feel is not part of that. Whether or not you give us a chance, thank you for what you did for my sister and for me. Gideon, I cried. Not because I felt bought. Because for the first time in a long time, my next move wasn't just survival. Tuesday night, he climbed all 5 flights, a little winded, carrying sunflowers. These made me think of you, he said. They look like they grew out of concrete and refused to apologize. That's oddly accurate, I said. We went to a small Italian place on the corner where nobody cared how much money he had. Over pasta and cheap wine, we talked like 2 people starting from zero. No costumes. He asked about Sutton Events, the company I wanted to build. I told him I wanted to design days people remember for the right reasons, not just fancy photos, real moments. What would you need to start? He asked. Time, clients, some capital, I admitted. I'm scared to jump. I'm not offering charity, he said. But Blackwell hosts events. I can make a business decision to contract with you instead of the firm we use now if your work is as strong as I believe it is. You earn it. It's your portfolio. You say yes if you want the work, not me. That felt different. That felt fair. Okay, I said. I'll take the chance. Back at my place with coffee and chipped mugs, we sat on my thrift store couch, shoulders touching. I'm afraid this is all adrenaline, I told him. That when the dust settles, we'll realize we liked the drama, not each other. I'm afraid of that too, he said. I'm also afraid if I walk away now, I'll spend the rest of my life wondering if I let the real thing slip past me because I was ashamed of how it started. You know what I mean? He added a little laugh at himself. Then we do it slow, I said. No buying our way out of hard conversations. No more lies. He nodded. I can try that. We kissed. This time, no audience. The next few months were not a montage where everything turned perfect. He gave me event contracts, in writing at market rates with his legal team treating me like any vendor. I worked like hell to prove I deserved them. They went well. Word spread. Rachel referred me to her friends. I got more gigs. I quit one job then another until for the first time Sutton Events wasn't just a dream scribbled on notebook margins. We fought too. About his hours, his instinct to fix things with his checkbook. When my pride flared up, my habit of assuming good things would be taken away. But slowly, he stopped trying to manage me. I stopped waiting for the catch. We started acting like partners. Half a year later, we drove back to that vineyard for a family weekend. This time for real. Rachel met us at the door with a sonogram in her hand. I'm pregnant, she said, crying and laughing. Gideon picked her up off the floor. Patricia pretended not to wipe her eyes. That evening on that same terrace where I'd walked up pretending to be his girlfriend, he took my hands. Ariel, he said, voice shaking just slightly. 6 months ago, I hired you like a coward. I thought I was buying peace of mind. Instead, I got called out in front of everyone and somehow still ended up with you in my life. You built your own business. You stood up to me when I deserved it. You loved my sister. You made my house feel less like an office. And I don't want to imagine going back to who I was before. He dropped to one knee. Classic. Terrifying. I've made more than my share of mistakes with you, he said, opening a small box with a simple, beautiful ring. But this is not one of them. Will you marry me? No contracts, no performance, just us figuring it out for real. I thought about the eviction notice, the dead car, the fake story, the public humiliation, the messy middle. The way he had changed slowly, painfully on purpose. The way I had, too. Yeah, I said, tears in my eyes. Yes, Rachel screamed from the doorway. I knew it! We got married there months later. Same vines, same sky, different truth. Rachel stood beside me. Thomas by him. Patricia cried openly this time. And people whispered because people always do. She was the hired girlfriend, some said. He bought his wife. They saved each other, others argued. Here's the part that might bother you, and I want you to sit with it. If a relationship starts with money on the table, can it ever be clean? Does the fact that he had power and I had debt mean I could never really choose him freely? Or can something real grow out of something flawed if both people are willing to tell the truth and do the work after? I still have that original email. Not because I'm proud of how it started, but because it reminds me of two things. One, how thin the line is between judgment and desperation, and two, how fast we are to decide which stories are allowed to turn into love. So I'm asking you now, if you were in my place back then, would you have taken that deal, knowing what you know about wealth, power, and how people get used in this world? Do you think what Gideon did was unforgivable? Or do you see a man who made a terrible choice out of love and tried to make it right? Should people like him even have the option to solve loneliness with money? Or is that just another way to stack the deck? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Defend him. Drag him. Defend me, drag me, I can take it. Tell me if you think this is a real happy ending or a beautiful red flag. And if you've ever made a desperate choice that changed your life in ways you didn't see coming, share it because someone reading might need to know they're not alone. If this story hit you anywhere in the gut, hit subscribe, send it to that one friend who loves messy love stories and moral gray areas. I read everything you write. And who knows? The next wild, complicated, honest story we tell here might be yours.